June 25, 1876. The rolling hills of Montana rang with gunfire, smoke, and death. More than 200 men of the 7th Cavalry were surrounded and wiped out. But one soldier lived to tell the tale. His name was John Martin, the bearer of Custer's final message and the last man to see him alive. What he witnessed and survived has cast a long shadow over history. Today, in a modest home near historic Fort McHenry, lives Sergeant John Martin, a retired U.S. Army veteran who served in multiple campaigns against Native American tribes. Born in Italy as Giovanni Martini, he devoted 3 decades to military service before retiring, and he remains the only white soldier to witness the Battle of the Little Bighorn and live to recount it. Reflecting on that day, Martin insists, "I owe my life to General Custer." At the time, he served as a trumpeter in Troop H of the 7th Cavalry. Stationed at Fort Rice in the Black Hills, he and his regiment received orders for an expedition against Sitting Bull Sioux. The 7th Cavalry moved into the valley with determination. After a long march on June 24th, the men set up camp, only to be ordered shortly after to break camp and continue marching through the night. As they pushed forward, signs of fresh movement along the trail began to multiply. By dawn on June 26th, a scout reported a large Native American village ahead. Custer gathered his officers and made the fateful decision to divide the regiment into 3 battalions. Major Reno would take 1 battalion to pursue what they believed were retreating warriors. Custer would follow with his own command, while Captain Benteen moved along a parallel route to the left. Captain McDougal stayed behind with the rear guard to secure the pack train and prevent any Indians from escaping. With skies clear and spirits steady, the 3 columns advanced, unaware of the deadly trap they were walking into. For reasons still debated, Reno veered toward the Little Bighorn River and disappeared from view. After about 3 miles, the troops came across numerous buffalo carcasses, evidence that the hunters had not yet returned to the village. Custer ascended a nearby ridge and looked down upon the massive encampment below. He saw no warriors, only women, children, and dogs. Calling his officers together once more, Custer confidently told his men that this mission would be simple and swift. Then he asked for a messenger. A trooper from F Company stepped forward, but Custer waved him off. Another volunteered but was rejected as well. Finally, Custer pointed directly at Martin. "I want that man," he said. When Custer asked his troop, Martin replied, "Arch, you're the man I need," Custer confirmed. "Take this note to Reno and Benteen. Come back safely. If you run into any Indians, stay with Reno and give him the message." The written order read, "Large village. Be quick. Bring packs." As Martin rode off, Custer and his men entered a narrow ravine, where warriors suddenly burst forth in a thunderous charge, launching the ambush that sealed their fate. They waved freshly skinned buffalo hides and antelope pelts, throwing the horses into a frenzy. The troopers fought to steady their mounts, but the confusion made it nearly impossible to fire their pistols or carbines with accuracy. Eventually, the order came: dismount. While one detail held the horses, the remaining men battled fiercely against the charging warriors. The attackers quickly focused their efforts on the horse holders, sparking panic and a stampede. With no route of escape, the soldiers stood their ground, fighting with grim determination. They formed a defensive square, but it made little difference. Mounted warriors encircled them, cutting the men down one after another until no one remained alive. I reached Captain Benteen ahead of the others and delivered Custer's urgent message, explaining that the command was under heavy attack. Together we rode in search of Major Reno. When we found him, he was shaken, bareheaded, and overwhelmed. "My God, Benteen!" he exclaimed. "Half my men are gone." Benteen pressed for an immediate advance toward Custer, but Reno argued that both battalions needed to move together. Those few minutes spent reorganizing the shattered ranks and tending to the wounded proved costly. When we finally pushed forward at full speed, it was already too late. We arrived only to discover that Custer's entire force had been wiped out. The warriors who had routed Reno's battalion had joined those who crushed Custer, and now they were turning their sights on us. The destruction of Custer's column had taken place sometime between noon and 1 o'clock. Now it was about 3 in the afternoon. We withdrew to a small open area and formed a tight defensive circle, placing the wounded at its center. What followed was brutal, an unbroken fight that raged from 4 o'clock until 7 that evening. Volleys of gunfire exchanged without pause. There was a brief lull, but the attack resumed around 2 in the morning and continued until 7 a.m., when Generals Terry and Gibbon reached us with reinforcements. Their arrival brought long-awaited relief. Together we moved toward the site of the slaughter, where the bodies of Custer's men lay scattered across the ground. Among them, I saw the remains of General Custer. His clothing had been torn away and 2 bullets had claimed his life, one through the chest, the other through the left temple. He lay between 2 fallen gray horses, his head resting against the belly of one of them. As the dust settles on this grim chapter of history, one question endures. What truly caused the destruction of Custer's command? Was it flawed tactics, a grave misjudgment of the enemy's strength, or the hand of fate altering the course of events? Sergeant John Martin's testimony grants us a rare window into the confusion and tragedy of that day, yet even his account leaves lingering mysteries. What would you have done in his place? Could you have carried that message, knowing you might never return? And what lessons still echo from the courage and errors of those who fought and died at the Little Bighorn? The story of Custer's last stand endures, kept alive in your interpretations, your questions, and your reflections. Share your thoughts and theories below, and together let's explore the hidden truths behind one of history's most infamous battles. The discussion begins now.